Hi, you're listening to the Fresh Start podcast, and this is episode number 27.
Hey, Marcia.
Hey, Stacy. Welcome back. We missed you.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah,
It really
I know you
is.
needed a little break. I don't know if you want to share. We
Yeah,
just
yeah,
said you had
sure.
life happening, so
I did have life happening. Yeah, my partner, Dave, his mom went into the hospital at the end of December and was in the hospital until she passed away just a couple weeks ago.
mm,
And yeah, it was just a lot of visiting and logistics and caring and a big surprise though, because we didn't expect that she would pass. She had some challenges, but yeah, it was a lot different than the process for me when I lost my mom, because that was so sudden. So
yeah,
this was a bit of a different experience. But one thing I can say is it's just so good to be with someone that you care about,
yeah.
during that time. And he was there for me, and it was good to be there for him.
That's
And I
beautiful.
appreciated y'all sending your text and letting me know that we were in your thoughts and prayers. So thanks so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's tough. So many of us are going through that with, losing parents in our age group. And it's not easy either way, whether it's sudden or whether there's been an illness. It's just hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know, taking care of someone who's elderly and sick and in and out of the hospital, and that whole thing is really physically exhausting on top of the emotional stuff. So I know you guys have been through it, and but I'm glad to see you back, and I'm glad that you've been able to be there for Dave. And yeah, having a partner to go through life with is pretty cool.
Thing.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say he's about to retire, and y'all
is.
bought a farm, didn't you?
We did. We bought the farm.
A Florida farm? I didn't know there were farms in Florida. I thought Florida was just palm trees and beaches.
Yeah, we're in a part of Florida here near Gainesville that has, when you hit the Ocala area, it's just rolling hills and lots of horses. And so Gainesville into Ocala has that kind of look, just a lot of rural spots. And it was always his dream to retire on a farm. And we opted for this part of the state because I really have just fallen in love with the Gainesville area. I think it's a really wonderful place.
I gotta come down.
So yeah. So we have this piece of land that we're going to start working on, and I had a surprise visit this week from one of my friends from high school. So I graduated in '89. So we're talking like before the turn of the century, friend.
Oh, yeah. You are old.
And I have not seen her in 30 years.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
How did you reconnect?
Well, we've kept in touch just on Instagram, and she was of the four, really, there was a group of four of us that were super close. She was the one that we all thought would lead the most kind of normal life.
Uh-huh.
No, she has been to 39 different countries. She's worked for the Peace Corps. She's just traveled the world, done all these really interesting things, and is such a cool free spirit. And she works with, we had at our retreat, Marcia, the sound bath.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that she does.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Her name is Sky, and that's her new name for her new life, and it's beautiful.
I love that.
So she's just kind of came here she's traveling back around the country. She was with the monks. She volunteered with the monks.
The walking monks.
Yes.
What did she do?
She helped with logistics. So she traveled ahead of them and helped with logistics. And it was just something on her heart when she found out about them. She just knew she needed to go. So she hopped in her van with her dog and went and asked after a 7-day trip if she could travel with them and help them.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Isn't it? It was so cool.
I can't imagine having that kind of a free spirit. I'm way too structured sometimes. But I find that fascinating. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And so I took her up. She said we should go out to the farm and bless the farm with sound. So
bless the farm. Oh, with like sound with the
crystal singing bowls. Yeah.
I told you there's a bunch of those in our new lake house that I bought. Did I tell you?
Cool.
There's bowls everywhere. Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
Phenomenal.
Okay, so she went out to your farm.
We went out to the farm today, and she brought her 2 of her bowls, and we got out there, and she asked me about kind of the intentions that I wanted to bring into this space. And, I talked about things like love and just peace and creativity and flourishing and those kinds of things. And as I gave her the word, she would strike the bowl and kind of sing that word into that. And the interesting, so cool, when she would do that, the wind would pick up. Each time the wind started blowing harder. It was incredible. I was like, wow, okay, this is really interesting.
Oh, wow.
And she gave me a crystal to place somewhere where I felt like I wanted to place it. So I took it to this tree that I really like and placed it there. And we walked back toward the front of the property. And she knows how much I love crows. And I was telling her that the crows were going to, finally get to know me here. They've been a little standoffish. Like they don't come up to me like the ones at my current home do.
Right.
And after this whole sound bathing of the property and we were walking up to the front, the crows came in. They all came in. They surrounded us in the trees and were just looking at us and calling. It was so cool.
Oh, got chills.
And I was like so touched, I thought, oh my gosh, I have a crow family here. They're here. They see me. And they were just looking at us like they were looking and observing us. And she said that when she does this kind of work, the birds are really responsive.
Clearly.
Yes. It was really it was such a cool thing to do. And I was just, I just thought it was
You think
really
they respond
touching.
to the sound of the bowls or is it just some vibes through the air or
maybe all of it. Maybe. Wow. I don't know. Yeah. So it's fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Well, fun. You've got your farm blessed today. I think that's so cool. I can't wait to, like I said, I want to come down and see it. I should have come down. I need to just start coming down there in the winter. It's so nasty up here right now.
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, well, welcome back. We're glad to have you. And we've got a really cool guest today.
We do.
My friend JP Williams is joining us. His wife Irene is a friend of ours, and she's been on before. And I've been wanting to have JP on for quite a while, and we finally roped him in. Let me just tell you a little. JP and I knew each other as songwriters. This guy has definitely had some fresh starts. You're going to hear some major stories about what he's gone through in his life and all the times that, you kind of go, okay, plan B, let's do something else. So let me read you his bio here. JP Williams is a hit songwriter, performer, executive coach, and motivational speaker who happens to be completely blind. Having lost his vision at age 10, JP's overcome adversity to achieve professional success in highly competitive fields. Today, he draws on his unique life experiences to bring inspiration and empathy to every performance, every coaching session, and speaking opportunity. As an accomplished music industry veteran, JP has co-written 2 #1 songs, Best Shot, that led country music charts for 3 weeks, and Never Walk Alone, that earned top status in the gospel genre. A sought after entertainer, he's played many famous venues, including the Grand Ole Opry and the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. After nearly a decade as a signed songwriter on Nashville's Music Row, JP embarked on a career transition to coaching for executives. ICF certified with specialty training in mental health modalities, he's accumulated thousands of hours working with leaders from Fortune 100 and 500 corporations, universities, and healthcare institutions across the United States. When he's not coaching, JP continues to perform and write music under his own publishing company called Blonde Leading Blind Music. And yes, his wife, Irene, is blonde. To keep up with JP, you can follow him on Instagram at blindmangram, or you can visit his website, jpwilliams.net. And we'll put all the links in the show notes for you to be able to find JP and connect with him if you want to. So without further ado, here is our interview with the wonderful JP Williams. JP Williams in the house. How you doing,
Hey,
friend?
hey, it's good to be here.
We're so glad
Thanks
to have you.
thanks for the invitation.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and Stacey and I have had your lovely wife Irene on. I think she was actually on God, My Girlfriend's podcast, and I think she's been on Fresh Start, and she's awesome. And you guys have some awesome podcasts too. I love the podcast, The Blonde Leading the Blind. That's a great name.
Yeah, we did that for a year actually. So I think was it our last episode was like 2023,
Yeah.
something along those lines. And so that was a fun experience doing that together. It was a fun project together.
Yeah, I used to listen to it in the mornings as I would get ready for putting on my makeup and stuff. It would always give me something to think about that day, always something to, just start my day off with like a good thought and, how to make my day a little bit better. So I know you guys have been doing like good work together and separately. So, yeah, we're just glad to have you here.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Just to we already told our audience a little bit about you, but just tell us a little bit about like what you're doing right now. Kind of put yourself in space and time for everybody, and just tell us a little bit about your life as it is right now.
Oh, in present tense.
Yeah.
So I work full time for a company called Lyra Health, and Lyra Health works with companies, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. They work with people in the financial realm, the medical field, kind of all across the board. So I spend time every day with everyone from a doctor to a pilot to someone in the tech world. I mean, it just runs the gamut all over the United States. And I work with those folks on mindfulness, core values, the tool of acceptance, communication, and it's incredibly rewarding. I've been with this particular company full time for the last 3.5 years. And I also, before that, I had my private practice, which I still have, but the majority of my time is spent working with Lyra Health. So the company, it's a benefit that employers offer to their employees, and so they get a certain number of coaching sessions per, whatever the benefit is with each company. Yeah, so usually an episode with a client can go from 8 episodes to 20 episodes, depending on the benefit. And an absolute blast. I've had so much fun working with them and also just broadening horizons. I mean, you get to hear about all these, the financial field. I mean, people get into what they do for a living and as much as, they feel comfortable sharing. And, obviously the sessions are confidential, but I mean, all kinds of things. I'm working currently with someone who's in training to get their flight certification to become a pilot, so he'll walk through the steps and, everything that he has to know for his upcoming exams. And we get into visualization, just, it's been amazing. And it just my worldview has gone from like this to way out, broadening it big
Mm.
time, during this season of my life. Yeah, so that's what I'm currently doing in a nutshell, I guess you'd say.
I love that. And you're right. I think coaching makes such a difference in the world. Um, just to bring awareness and co-create those experiences with clients. And so thank you for doing that work. It's important work.
Yeah, I got into it because with my own life, if I'm sure you might want me to delve into this of being a completely blind person, I found out in a very unique way what positive forms of help are and what negative forms of help
Mm.
are.
Ooh,
And
expand on that a little bit.
well, it's like it has to do with, I think, a lot around healthy boundaries, that you have to set with people. But it's equivalent to, let's just say someone says to me, I'm going to lead you to work every day. You take my elbow, I'm gonna be there with you, I'm gonna lead you to work every day. Versus, here's a cane, here's how you read Braille. I've never used a seeing eye dog, but I know I have a lot of friends who do have seeing eye dogs, and they've made a huge impact in their lives.
Uh,
Here's a seeing eye dog, and let me train you how to use these tools, and then I'm going to get out of the way. That to me is a very positive form of help.
ah,
And there's a big difference, and so with coaching, my main lens that I try to look through when I log on with everyone I work with is everyone is creative, they're resourceful, and they're a whole person, you
ah,
know. And I'm not there to solve their problem. They do that. I'm there to offer space, powerful questions, modalities, things of that nature that hopefully guide them towards what they already know. They just need time and space to figure it out. And then so with coaching, and I'm sure with therapy as well, but coaching is with Lyra is different because we really want people to complete time together. It's like, man, okay, so you've learned some new tools. Now go live life. I'm going to get out of the way, go live life, do your thing. So yeah, there's a big emphasis on the empowerment piece, and self-agency,
mm,
choice.
yeah,
We have choices. We just gotta maybe take time out to figure out what those options are. And so, being able to hold space for people while they do that has been really gratifying.
that's awesome. Yeah, Stacy
Yeah.
is also a coach, and
Oh, very cool.
yeah, I can see her nodding along a lot. Everything you're saying, she's over there going, uh-huh,
Yep,
uh-huh,
yep,
uh-huh,
yep.
yeah,
Okay,
yep,
yeah, yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Check that one off, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As a coach, I also get coaching, I think
Yeah,
it's
me too.
important. And yeah, there's just nothing quite like it to be. I think we talk about coaching as being important, and we talk about having spiritual direction is important. Therapy is important. All of those modalities can serve such a powerful purpose in our lives. Mhm.
Yes, and you mentioned therapy. So the company I work for has some tremendous therapists that contract out with the company, and so people will come in, and if their scores are mild to moderate, they come to me or someone else on the team. We have a ton of coaches all over the United States and in other countries as well. But and if they're more on the severe end of things, then we help make that transition, to find a therapist that's more specialized
Mm,
in maybe what they're going through. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
I,
nice. It's good to make that distinction.
I just find it so encouraging that companies are seeing the value in investing in their employees' mental health.
Yes. Well, and I'm sure, they've seen the evidence, the productivity improves. I mean, when you feel better about your life in general, everything intersects, right? So,
Right.
if I'm taking time out for myself to maybe reinforce or remind myself of my core values and what's important to me, and I feel better outside of work, well, then when I show up, I'm just going to be in a better place. And so productivity definitely, I'm sure that evidence shows that goes up, just naturally, when people take time out for themselves to, because we can all get on autopilot And we all know, I mean, I just turned 50 years old, and I'm like, whoa, where did the time go? And we can all be on autopilot if we're not awake, and so
Yeah.
it's really cool to watch people wake up to what's meaningful to them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great work. But what is so mind blowing for me is because when I first met you, we both
Hmm.
met because we met actually in a church that we were both going to a long
Yeah,
time
that's right.
ago.
Yeah.
But both in the music business, you were a songwriter, I was a songwriter. Like we said, you've had some number one songs, you had success, you were a staff writer for many years on
Hmm.
Music Row, just like I was. And so to go into coaching, um, I think about fresh start. We talk about fresh starts. I always think
Yeah, I
about
love
that.
it.
I think about that Friends episode where Ross and the boys are trying to get that couch up the
Pivot.
stairs.
Yeah.
Pivot, pivot, and that's what I feel like. And
Yeah.
I mean, I see it a lot in the music business. We're all like pivot, pivot, but I think it happens obviously and not just with musicians, but in all areas of life. And so what made you pivot?
Now I'm going to be thinking of that episode. We're going to have to turn that on later. We
Yeah.
watch two things at night while we're trying to go to sleep, and that's Friends and Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
Those are the two shows that we always turn. It's like a storybook. It's like very familiar and comfortable. So I'm going to be smiling the rest of this interview thinking
Yeah.
of that Friends episode. Um, yeah, so around 2018, I think it was just sort of it sort of went without saying that both parties with the company I was working for and where I was at in life, uh, it was just a natural, it's time to move on kind of thing. And it was, I felt like, at least from my perspective, that it was very healthy
Mm-hmm.
to move on. And because I wanted to grow, I wanted to keep evolving. I think fresh starts do that. They give us the opportunity, maybe a little bit of a clean slate, but to evolve. I was listening recently to it was a short on YouTube with Tony Robbins, and I'm going to be paraphrasing here, but it was he basically what he was touching on was that we can accomplish things, and that's great and all, but they can be really disappointing when it's not about becoming something. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Christmas when we're children. We wait all year for Christmas to come around, and we open our presents, and then 2 hours later it's like, I've already played with that toy. I'm kind of disappointed. It's sort of a letdown if it's more about the event rather than what I'm becoming. At least that's what I found. And then I don't, does that make sense?
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I think because I see that a lot in the music business
Yeah.
where we're like, man, if I just had a number one record, that
Yeah.
you
And then,
and you're
yeah.
focused on that thing, and then you get that number one record, and you wake up the next day, and really nothing has changed. You're still you.
Yeah.
You still have to take out the garbage. You're still trying to, figure out how to, get your kids' lunch packs, and you're like, why am I not different? Like I was so focused
Yes.
on that event.
That one goal. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. And that's what I learned. And that's not to say that I wasn't grateful when that moment came around. But what I did notice was kind of like, well, I'm like what you just said. I'm still me. And then there's this, I think it's like another rung on the ladder that you're trying to get to that maybe maybe not all cases, but in a lot of cases doesn't exist. So basically, I'm reaching for something that's not there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I felt anyway. And so I was really big on, man, what can I do to step out and try something new? So while I had the publishing deal, I was working early mornings at Lyft Corporate internally on their social media team. So I would work there from like 5:30 a.m. to, I don't know, like 9:30, 10 in the morning or something. And then I would run to Music Row to write songs. And when my contract ended with the publishing company, I started working full time for that tech company. And then through that, they offered us a benefit. Much like Lyra Health, it's a different platform, but I was teamed up with a coach, and it started making a huge impact on my life. And eventually I just asked him, how did you get into this field? And he told me his steps. And I thought, maybe I'll just try. So I'm big on, if we can model, if we see how someone has done something, okay, how did you get there? And so I asked him, what did you do? And so I went and attended the same training institute, and I got certified through International Coach Federation, and started my private practice. And I have to say, with fresh starts, it can feel really weird at first because you're not, you start putting yourself out there. We have the internet now, so with your immediate contacts and community friends and family, you're putting yourself out there in a way that you've never done before, and that can feel really strange. At least it did for me. And that's the thing that I learned through change, is that there's always sort of a resistance to make, it's like your brain is saying, I can't predict this. You need to turn around and go back to what you know, even when it's not the best thing for us. We're always going to, if we're not careful, we can choose what's familiar. And I constantly, if there's one thing that I can say about fresh starts and people listening, and if they're going through something like that, you're going to have times where you're like, okay, this feels really odd, and I just need to turn around and go back to what I know, because I'm halfway across this river of discomfort, and my brain is telling me go back, or you feel like maybe you're missing out. Um, FOMO, everybody talks about FOMO, but you might be missing out on something that you were experiencing before. And so I have all these voices that I experienced, and I just kept telling myself, keep going, keep walking, and kind of went against that probably natural tendency to go back. But so eventually, like I said, I got certified, and then I had my private practice, and then ended up at Lyra Health. And at least for the present moment, I'm really enjoying it. Like it feels like a really good fit for me in this season of life. So, I don't know. I mean, a year from now, you could talk to me and I could be on another fresh start. I don't know, but at least for now, it feels really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does your background as a musician help you in coaching?
That's an interesting question. Probably because, Marcia, you can attest to this, that, the creative, the arts, or the music business, or what you like, entertainment business, it's not a linear path. I mean, it zigzags all over the place. It's not like you become, you go to law school, you pass the bar exam, then you become an attorney, it zigzags all over the place. And so I think, the flexibility, and then also, has helped me, in the coaching, and just being creative. I think in my coaching sessions, it's very collaborative. And so I feel like it's kind of, there's aspects of it that feel very similar to co-writing with people.
Mm.
And the part that I enjoyed about co-writing was the individuals, the human beings that I got to meet on a pretty regular basis, with all kinds of different backgrounds, and everybody's sort of at a different place. Some people might have had a hit, or somebody might be like a Hall of Fame songwriter, or somebody might just be starting out, or be an artist, or something of those, along those lines. But everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
And so the part that I loved about it is you kind of skipped a lot of levels in the co-writing world, because it's such a vulnerable activity to write a song together,
Yeah.
and sometimes, Marcia, I know you know this, it's like two people can be super talented, but for whatever reason, the energy just doesn't match up.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
and, and you don't really know why. It just either it works or it doesn't. And so I think that's how it's helped me. I feel like in a unique way, all that co-writing sort of prepared me for what I'm doing now, just to sort of expect the unexpected. And again, the part that I enjoyed the most was the collaborative end of things, and that's what I'm still getting to do. It's just I'm talking about somebody's life. We're not writing a song necessarily, but we're collaborating on something different, but it's still very creative and collaborative.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. And it is vulnerable. I mean, when you go in and write, I remember every now and then I would get set up, how it is on Music Row. Your publisher will set you up with somebody that you don't know, and you walk in. And I remember this one guy in particular. I walked in, and he was like Hi, I'll say his name is Bill. Hi, I'm Bill. Shakes my hand, sits down and goes, what you got? Like, what, in other words, like, what idea have you got? I mean, it wasn't even like, okay, can we like just get to know each other for a minute? And maybe, because for me, I needed to feel like I knew that person that I was writing, like where they're coming from, a little bit about their lives. And then let's try to find something in common that we both feel passionate about writing about. It's not just a business transaction. We're trying to be creative together. And I mean, we wrote a song that day just because I was like, how about this? And he's like, okay, let's write it. And, but it was just one of those songs that, is never going to go anywhere. I mean, it's like, because there was no heart to it. There's no heart to there was no heart to the song. But I love that you sort of are taking that collaborative spirit into your coaching sessions. That's really cool.
You're exactly right in that if there wasn't common ground, or if there isn't, I mean, I honestly don't do much co-writing, barely at all anymore. But if back in the day, like if there wasn't common ground, then I don't know, you take away the human aspect of it. Because I believe music, man, with and I'm not here to vilify artificial intelligence or technology or any of that, but there's so many things that sort of want to take away advancements that kind of want to take away the human element of writing songs, and if we don't keep in art, especially if we don't fight to keep that human element in the mix, things are going to be, I mean, very surface, very plastic. Somebody, I was listening, I forget who it was, so I apologize for not remembering, but it was a singer who was really, he had his season was sort of in the 80s, and he had a really good point. He said there was a time when the goal was, what makes you unique? Like when the listener listens to that voice, they need to know who it is. They didn't, and if you tried to sound like somebody else, you'd be kind of called out for it. And
right.
Now what he was saying, and I don't know if you guys think this is true, but that now it's like if you try to sound like somebody else, it kind of benefits you in a way. But back in the day, it was like you had to work years in the bars and really like hone your craft and find your unique voice, your unique sound. So I thought that was an interesting take, on
Yeah.
just the human aspect of music and the originality that comes out of that humanness, I guess you'd say, whereas technology may want it, it's pulling from things that have already been done,
Right.
and so anyway, that's what makes us human beings special when we're painting, when we're writing a song, when we're doing anything creative. It's like what's that original thing that no one has said before? That's
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's like AI, the AI demos that I teach songwriting classes once a month, and they used to bring in, work tapes of them singing, sometimes badly, because they're not singers, they're songwriters. And they would bring in their little of them playing or singing. And now everybody brings in a Suno demo, and the voices, it's like kind of sounds like Carrie Underwood, kind of sounds like Reba McEntire, kind of sounds like Miranda, because they're basically, what AI is doing is taking, like they're taking little bits, even all the guitar playing and the all of the Nashville session players' DNAs are all in those. It's like if you took the top 5 guitar players and squished them into one robot, that's what you're getting from AI. It's really bizarre. And so you're right. You have these like perfectly sung demos, although they're not actually, because I can always tell because the phrasing will not be the way a human would do it sometimes. Like they get it about 99% of the time, they get it right. But then you're like, yeah, okay, this is AI. And so that human element, it always gives itself away some way for me.
Absolutely. And I mean, you think about one of my favorite things was to be in the studio with the musicians and record a demo. I mean, that was just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the biggest high in the world because the best musicians in the world are like listening to your song, charting it out, and then executing it and bringing it to life. But I mean, that's human beings playing the song. That's you're having this human interaction with the musicians that you grew up listening to on the radio. And I mean, it was just that was one of the most amazing. And slowly but surely, that became not as common because of technology, and that now uh, people have it with their computers. I mean, you
yeah.
can plug in a
Yeah.
laptop and and do the whole thing. So yeah, yeah, it's just, that's the thing with the coaching now that I think that's like the soft skills, empathy, those things are so valuable, and I think
Hmm.
they're gonna be even more valuable as time goes on
Right.
because people are going to be searching for conversation. They're going to be searching for, a real person to talk to.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you're not going to necessarily get that on an app, or although that's what people are using to meet one another. And I mean, they even have virtual partners now that you can sign up for. That's not a real human being, you know.
That's nuts.
Weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Weird.
So, and I think that's one thing that I noticed too. In my experience, you said that the individual said to you when you sat down to write, what you got. Like it felt very kind of, I don't know if you would say dehumanizing or whatever, but
It
that's one
did
thing
feel
that,
that way.
yeah, yeah. But that's something that I began to notice more and more of, and it just always felt kind of to me. And what feels what's inside of one person's integrity may be outside of another's, so I'm no judgment. But for me, as I was going along, it just felt like, man, what's human here? What can I take with me that
Hmm.
that's not just so surface level, and what's real? Where can I go to find something truthful and human, and yeah, and so that was another thing, another reason that I gravitated towards the field was just this feels really human. We're all flawed. We all have challenges, and actually, being a blind person has been a big benefit from the standpoint that so in my bio, so when employees of these companies will log on to Lyra, they'll see different providers' profiles, and so I'm very transparent. I just say, I'm blind. I'm a blind person, and a lot of times that's why people want to work with me because they think, you've been through something challenging,
Mm.
and maybe there's something unique that you might have to offer. So that's been also cool too, because there's a lot of fields that you can try to get into as a blind person, and it may be you can overcome it in a lot of ways, but then there's a lot of ways that it's let's just be honest, it's going to be more challenging. There's modifications that need to be made and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And this field and what I'm doing now, it's actually been a benefit, which
Yeah.
I thought, well, that was a surprise. I didn't know that was going to be the case. Um,
Well, one of the things, JP, that you have on your website really caught my attention, and I wonder if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about it. You
sure.
said that acknowledging the trauma of what happened to you was a really life-changing moment for you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so a little bit of background there. So I was born with retinopathy of prematurity. So I was in a hurry, and and so I was born early, and I had vision only in my left eye, although it was limited, but never in my right eye. I only had vision in my left eye up to the age of 10. And as time went along, the vision in my left eye started to fade. So, they went in and did a surgery called a sclera buckle surgery to try to repair and save what retina I had left. And that surgery didn't work out. And then, at the age of 10, I became completely blind and went through a lot of surgeries that year and got glaucoma and things. It was a tough year. I was homeschooled and things of that nature. But I never really acknowledged when that happened, my family, as a lot of families do, you have to cope. You come up, you sort of build a narrative that helps you kind of stay just stable for the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, one thing that we did is sort of put a positive spin on it. Like your blindness is maybe it's a gift, or there's a reason for it, or God has a plan for it, or
Mm.
things of that nature. And so you're sort of kind of exceptionalizing it a little bit, which now in this season of my life, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. Although now, knowing what I know now, it's just when we go through something traumatic, a lot of times everyone's just trying to make sense of it. That's one thing that our brains do, is we just want to make sense of the world. We want to make sense of things. And so that's why you'll hear things like, it's God's plan, or it's maybe it's because of it's a fallen world and it's sin that you're blind, and
Oh,
things
My
like that.
gosh.
You hear a lot of things,
oh
a lot of wild, a
gosh.
lot of wild stuff.
Oh man.
And so, yeah, I'll go into that a little bit. So, I was at work. I guess it was maybe it was yeah, it was during the pandemic, because I think a lot of people probably that you've interviewed on this podcast, it was such an unusual time for all of us. But
Oh yeah.
when things get quiet, and a lot of the things that you were doing, the doors kind of slammed on those things, and you
Hmm.
have to kind of reevaluate. So,
Pivot.
yeah,
Pivot.
pivot. Yeah. So I was working, and there's just one day that I just go, I mean, to myself, I mean, I didn't say it out loud or anything, but I was just like, wow, that was a traumatic moment in my life. I mean, I went completely blind,
Yeah.
and there was almost, I don't want to say like lights came from heaven and, a huge epiphany or whatever, but it was like a subtle like release of, wow, okay. Yeah, I've just named it. And that
Mm.
really helped me. I wasn't resisting. And I think that's the thing that I work on with clients all the time, is just that place of acceptance where we stop resisting life. Because I think there's a confusion between accepting and giving up. And
Yeah.
to me, that was a big moment in my life, although, very subtle, but it was a big moment to just be like, okay, what's reality here? And how can I live inside of reality and not be living inside my head something else, sort of resisting what is. And that was huge, because I think a lot of my anxieties in the past, a lot of the rumination I experienced was that resistance, fighting life, because again, back to the sort of more religious, uh, I'm not here to vilify religion either, but,
No,
standpoint of,
yeah.
yeah, it's sin that caused this or whatever. Maybe being the toxic positivity
Hmm.
around, when
Oh,
I was
God's got a
born.
plan for you.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah, you're gonna change the world, and
Well, yeah. So that's hard for you to like acknowledge that it was traumatic when people are putting that toxic
yeah, and it's
positivity
also
around it.
it's also a lot of pressure too. I mean,
Yeah.
Hmm.
dear God, you know what I mean? Like, but then you just go, well, let's get into biology. I was born early, had limited vision, lost my vision. Get into the boring facts of life. I'm telling you, it's transformative. And
Yeah.
you can just
Yeah.
be like, this is what happened. And
Yeah.
and we don't have to create a narrative that's, that might be causing a lot of anguish in someone's life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
I
know.
work with a lot of my clients come from abusive relationships, abusive
Mm.
marriages. And there is something really powerful about that switch that we make, having navigated that myself. At some point, you stop looking at the other person trying to figure them out, or, what is the plan? What's behind this? And
Yes.
just being able to say, yeah, I'm a victim of abuse, or I'm a victim of this, or I suffered trauma, or whatever it is, like it brings the focus back to you, and the choice that you want to make out of that. Like, what now, how do I help myself process this?
Yeah, and
um,
that's a good point. And someone said this to me, and I think it leans into what you're saying, that acceptance is taking radical responsibility for your experience, even when it isn't your fault.
mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I did. I was like, oh, ooh, that's good,
Oh, yeah, that
because
is
then
good.
what we're afraid to admit is exactly what gives us our power back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like if I can
Wow.
if I can say, wow, I was in an abusive relationship. I experienced trauma. to be able to accept that and it's not our fault. But if we
Right.
can take responsibility for our experience and how we want to move forward, I mean, that just, I don't know. I thought that was a bit of a game changer.
Hmm.
That
For
is.
sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like being able to name it for what it was. And people talk about that with like in grieving situations and everything,
Hmm.
when people are putting too much of like this positive spin and they don't allow you to grieve on it.
Yes.
Um, or even you were talking about with being blind. I remember, I think it was pretty sure it was Ronnie Millsap's bio I was reading years and years ago, where he was blind and his grandmother was taking him to these revivals where they
Yeah.
supposedly had healers, miracle healers,
Yep.
and she would drag him in there and take him up front, and of course he wouldn't be healed. And then all the way home, she would tell him it was because he didn't have enough faith. I
Yep.
mean, what a horrible
Mm.
Yeah.
burden to put on
Distortions.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people come up in church settings and put their hands on me and then afterwards say, only true believers get healed, you know.
Oh
Oh,
my
it's terrible.
gosh.
But here's the deal though. If we can look at the biology, right, that we're all of us, without even knowing it, we're just trying to make sense of the world. So we'll find belief. It's like, okay, it's sin that did that to you. It's a fallen world. That's why you are the way you are. Okay, so it takes a lot less energy to just kind of go that way than to
Hmm.
actually stop and go, maybe I should get to know this person, or maybe I should
Mm,
ask that person about what's their story.
Hmm.
mm,
You know what I mean? A lot of people just aren't going to do that. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying it helps me to understand, you know, um, maybe why that occurs, and
Hmm.
it's like something's happened to all of us, and they're seeing me through their lens and what they were
Hmm.
told.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's just anyway.
Like you said, we're all just trying to make sense of life. And
Yes.
sometimes our coping skills that have been taught to us, right?
Yeah. From way back.
Whether it's some sort of, religious cliche that you use, well, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle, or,
There you go.
he's got a plan, or well, God needed another angel,
Yeah,
all of these little cliches that are well meaning, right?
they are.
But most of the time.
Yeah,
But it's just their way of coping too, right? It's just their way
absolutely.
of trying to make sense of it, because life can be full of nonsense.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think there's part of us, I think, as we mature and have different life experiences and we're wrestling with what it means to be a believer and people who aren't, or
Mm,
whatever it is, all these things that we're thinking about and grappling with the fact that challenging things happen to good people. Challenging things happen to all of us.
yeah.
And acknowledging that, yeah, no matter what I do or what I believe or where I am, I might actually have something challenging happening to me. And I think that's kind of part of it too, is something inside that person just wanted to sort of push back on that and say, no, no, there has to be a reason, because I don't want to set myself up for something
It's
like this,
like
right?
Job's friends. Job's friends
Yes.
were like, "What'd you do?" He was like,
yeah.
Right.
I didn't
I didn't
do
do anything. You're
Well,
right. It is like
yeah.
that.
anything.
And if you think about it, what I've heard is that, our brains like to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be efficient.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
Yeah.
so it just, if we can use as the least amount of energy
yeah.
all the time that's why, hey, man, what are you going to do? You're going to go through McDonald's, or are you going to go home and spend 2 hours making something healthy? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like we just naturally, if we're not awake, we're just naturally going to choose the path of least resistance. And
Mhm.
so I think a lot of times the way we think, it's that way. We're just trying to, and that's the other thing too. I think a lot of times people are saying things to try to help you not feel pain,
Hmm.
or they might have your best interest, but a lot of times it can be yeah, tricky to navigate.
Yeah, I know it is, and like you said, I think most people are doing the best they can, and
Yes.
but I want to go back just to what you were talking about earlier about it's all about what we are becoming
Yes.
as people in life. I think that's our big journey, right? It's not that we're here to write a number one song. Wow, you're talented, or you're here to be a doctor. Um, I remember one time being on a train in Japan with a new drummer in the band, and we had just met, and we ended up on the same sitting by each other, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that we can sit down. I want to hear all about you. I want to get to know you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, the fact that I'm a drummer and you're a singer is why we're here. But really, that's the tools that got us here. We're here to get to know one another. We're here to learn from each other. And that just has stuck in my head. Every little thing that we do is a tool, really, to just get us farther down the journey of life into becoming better human beings, I think. Do you agree?
Yes. I totally agree. And I think that's what fresh starts give us. We naturally, if we're not careful, and sometimes it is good to stick with what you're doing, you know, especially if you feel like you're growing inside of that container, I guess, so to speak. But it's okay. Like for me, I just felt stifled and kind of like there's other ways that I want to grow, and I want to learn new things. I want to do new things, and I want to, experience some vulnerability. There's a lot of vulnerability around trying
Mm-hmm.
something new,
Yeah.
and that can feel. But honestly, I'm telling you, if someone can feel that vulnerability, not be afraid of it, because it's not, emotions can't hurt us, right? They're just emotions, and and walk forward and try new things. Yeah, you're exact. I totally agree with that. I mean, it's uh, we're all the emphasis on becoming something rather than that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
maybe in City Slickers, the movie, they had it wrong. I don't know if you remember that. Curly was like, you know what the secret of life is? One thing.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
but anyway, um,
One thing.
yeah. But
Uh,
I totally agree with you. It's more about who are we becoming, and don't be, seasons come to an end, and
Mm-hmm.
it's good to learn new things and experience new things, and we're not defined by necessarily our talents. I mean, but yeah, it definitely helps you navigate the world in a more flexible manner to
Mm-hmm.
come at it from that perspective. At least it's
Yeah.
helped me.
yeah. Well, I'm just glad that there are coaches like you and Stacy out there helping people, because the mental health situation here in America, it's no joke, man. People are really, really struggling these days. And so I want to encourage people to consider coaching or therapy or whatever the specific. I know there's a difference. We've talked some about that, the difference between therapy and coaching. But man, you don't have to figure this out alone.
No.
Right.
Life is not meant to be figured out on your own. You need wise voices, whether they're spiritual voices, therapeutic voices, coaching voices, all of those things. I really believe is super valuable today. So thanks for the work both of you guys are doing, really.
Mm.
No.
So we're going to put in here, JP, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank
We've
you.
this, all of a sudden I realized, wow, we're over time. We
It
could just
flew
keep
by.
talking. It
Flew
did.
by.
We will put your website in our show notes, and I'm going to put some links to some of your songs too, because you've got
Oh,
some great,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the only way out is in is one of those. It's like that basically says what? Fresh start, right? Don't hang out on banks where you've already been.
Uh,
The only way out is in.
Then
Yeah.
he and Irene have this great song, and I don't know if she showed you the video that I sent you guys the other night. Did she show you that?
She did. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that made because we both had kind of a hard day,
Mm-hmm.
and you shared that with me and her and Irene, and that just totally made me smile. So
Well,
thank you for that.
context for everybody. My husband' studio is right off of our kitchen, and usually at night while I'm cooking dinner, my husband is out there practicing. He gets out there and practices, and he has this playlist that he always practices to. And JP's song, The Only Way Out Is In, is one of those songs. So I listen to JP sing almost every single night while I'm cooking
I'm
dinner.
sorry. You're probably wanting to pull your hair out at this point, but
but no. And isn't that don't y'all, that's in your podcast on The Blind Leading the Blind, isn't that?
yeah, because we would write a song and record it and then just sort of talk about the motivation around it.
That's right. I remember seeing that. But so we'll link some of that too.
It made me smile. Thank you.
I know. Yeah. So just know I'm singing along with you almost every night about 6 o'clock as I'm making my spaghetti or what. JP Williams, you're awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks for the conversation. It's been a pleasure. Seriously.
Thank you. Give Irene a big hug from us.
I will. You guys take care. Have a good evening.
Yeah, have a great day.
You too.
Take care.
Thanks everyone for listening to our episode, our latest episode, Fresh Start Podcast, and we will see you back here in a couple of weeks. Bye. This episode has been brought to you by God and My Girlfriend's Ministries. If you're looking for a faith-based community where everyone is accepted, all beliefs are welcome, and no judgment, check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org, where you can find more information about our book clubs, both online and in person, upcoming retreats, and all the events in your area. You can also find out about one of our favorite things that we do, our Single Moms Christmas Blessing Ministry. So go check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org. We would love to have you a part of our community.